Hi and welcome to another tutorial from the Golden Ribbon. Today we're looking at the waterfall illustration tutorial in Inkscape 1.01. Alright, let's get into it. Okay, so I have my canvas in front of me, 1920 by 180, and you see here that we have the palm tree. I won't be going over the palm tree that you saw in the thumbnail because there's a separate tutorial on the palm tree, and there'll be a separate animation on the palm tree later on in the month of February. So you'll be able to see that then. So I won't be going over the palm tree, just straight the waterfall, and we'll just add the palm trees at the end. Okay, we've got the blue gradients and our colors to the right hand side. Let me just close this dialog box area to my right hand side to give you more screen real estate. Okay, so first things first, we're just going to go ahead and create a rectangle. Let's turn off the snap tool for now. And essentially you just got small rectangle and a big one to create this waterfall. This is a nice and simple tutorial though. There's not much to it, but it's got a nice aspect to it too for beginners and intermediates and professionals, because we're going to go over how to do a sine wave in Inkscape simply. Okay, so it's about here. Forgive me, I'm just looking at my previous tutorial to see what the proportions are. Cool. And this one is in a blue and this one's in a darker blue, and we're just going to select both of them and shift and holding shift, pressing D, then holding shift and selecting this blue, dark blue right here will give us this outline, where D is for the dropper tool, and the dropper tool can be found right here, and shift enables us to select the color for the stroke instead of the fill. So D and then shift, and this is a bit small, so we're going to go into our fill and stroke dialog box that's in object, and fill and stroke is at the top, and then we're going to go over to stroke style. I'm going to change the stroke style to about 2, change it to about 4.5 or so. Yeah, that looks about right. And that's the first basis for our waterfall. Next, we're just going to go ahead and click our rectangle tool, and we're just going to draw out another rectangle here, and we're going to round the edges of this rectangle, and this is going to be the green hills that we have in our background. Cool, let me just take a look. Yeah, green hills that we have in our background. Nice and simple. And we're just going to come here in the options at the top for the select menu, and we're just going to lower the selection for this green hill right here, and do the same for the opposite side. Then we're going to duplicate it one more time, bring it down. You're holding this square box here, just bring it down. Oh, and to round the rectangles, we just select this circular node right here, holding control will give us proportional scaling to round the boxes. Cool. I'm gonna select these two, I'm gonna give it a darker green and just put them underneath. Awesome. So we have it right here. Cool. Let's go ahead and just make this box slightly smaller, slightly taller too. Cool. And let's just scale this whole thing down here. Cool. So now let's carry these two boxes down a bit so that they're below. Yeah, and I'm just going to delete these two and duplicate it, and then just invert it or flip it on the horizontal axis, and then press Ctrl and G to group and put them underneath as well. Okay, I think this looks like the original. Yeah, looks like the original. Cool, so let's get it back down again. We're going to go over and create the waterfall bubbles. So first I'm going to select the rectangle tool again. I'm just going to draw a rectangle here, make it straight. Let's get rid of the stroke, come down to the bottom left hand side and right click and remove the stroke. And just going to bring this up a bit over everything, and we're going to make this white. Cool. and we want all of our trees to go below this white line. Awesome. I'm just going to stretch it out a bit. Cool. So once we have it over our white line, the next thing we're going to do is just create these circular bubbles here, and they're just white circles. Let's just fill them in. Cool. And they're going to be placed in random spots, and we're duplicating with Control and D. And we're just scaling them and put them in random spots. Awesome. And we want our line to go over them. Cool. So we got this random look right here. I think the next part now is that we want to just cut everything below this white line. So let's put it in blue and just put it on top so I can show you what I mean. Right. We want this white line to be cut. To cut everything underneath, so we have something that looks like this, which is about similar to what we have at top. Cool. Just check this, put this to 4. I'll put it to 4. Alright, what's the both of these now? 3.2 something? Okay, I'll put it to 3.5. Cool, so now that we've done that, let's just go ahead and unify all of these circles. So I'm going to go to Path and Union. And we're holding Shift while selecting one of these circles. I'm going to select this rectangle here, duplicate it with Control and D. And I'm just going to go to Path and Difference. And that will cut all of the bubbling for the waterfall. We're basically going to do the same thing for these here too. Let's just ungroup them. I'm going to group these two together. We're going to unify these two with the same color, so Path and Union. And we're going to do the same for these dark ones here, Path and Union. Cool. And we're going to select this rectangle, duplicate it with Control and D. I'm going to select both the rectangle and the hills. And we're just going to say, go to Path up here and select Difference. Going to do the same for this. Go to Path, make sure you're holding everything. So first select the hills, then the, well, doesn't really matter in this case, just make sure the one that's doing the difference is on top. I'm going to say Path and Difference. Cool. So now we can see that there's nothing showing below our waterfall, and things are looking really nice. Go ahead and round this too, so it doesn't look quite as straight as it was before. And now we can go into the waterfall section of this now, where we see that sine wave effect here. Oh, let's also put in our palm trees too. Let's put the palm tree right here and put the palm tree right here. Nice. Cool. And we can also scale this down a bit. Palm tree maybe a little bit tall. Let's just get rid of this and duplicate it and invert it. Cool. Yeah, I think this looks okay. Right, so for this next part now, I'm just going to go ahead and duplicate this rectangle and draw it out. Okay, for our next step, we're just going to go over to the Bezier tool. I'm going to click it, or you can activate it with B. Then we're going to left click once, hold Control to make a straight horizontal Bezier line, and then double click to end our Bezier line segment. Then we're going to go ahead and double click this line segment that we've just created. We're going to draw a box over the two nodes to select the two nodes, and we're just going to go ahead and insert new nodes to the top left to insert new nodes into selected segments. When you double click, it takes you into the node editor. You can get there by pressing N, or you can get there by pressing F2. So you're just going to press this once and twice. Cool. Then we're going to go ahead and duplicate this with Control and D. Hold Control and move this up. Just take off the snap tool, and we're going to duplicate it once more with Control and D, and just carry it to the edge. Now to get these to snap, what we're going to do, we're going to go to our snap tool to the top right, and we're just going to click this here, which will enable snapping, or you can hit Shift and 5 to toggle this on and off. Good. Then we want to make sure that snap nodes, paths and handles are selected, and we want to also make sure that under that we have snap to cost nodes and we have snap smooth nodes also enabled. So we're going to hold Shift, select these two, press and just click them and snap them together with these ones on the right, so it looks like one continuous straight line. Then we're going to activate the Bezier tool, and we're going to allow the snaps to guide us to create this serrated teeth pattern right here. And you want to make sure that the teeth are nice and wide. Cool. And once we have this effect here that looks like serrated saw blade or teeth, then we're going to go into our node editor by double clicking this line segment that we just created. We're going to select all these nodes, and we're going to go to tool control box, and we're going to make these nodes smooth, and that's going to give us this sine wave effect. Cool. And with the sine wave effect that we have here, we can go ahead and squash this a little bit, and that gives us a nice wave effect here. Cool. And we're just gonna scale this in. So that's all we're doing is just clicking with the select tool, holding Control and Shift, and just scaling in. So just holding Control and Shift to scale in proportionately. And I think this wave looks about good. I want to make sure it's in the middle of this box here. So we're just going to say path. We're just going to go to align and distribute. So you go to object, align and distribute. And then we just want to make sure that it's in the center. So with both of them selected, we're going to say center on vertical axis. Go. And then we're going to select both of them, and we're going to say path and go to our Boolean modes. And we want this to be cut in half. So we're just going to divide this. Cool. And that will give us a nice wave effect right here. Alright, and if you're like me, then you can curve the outsides too. Yeah, but not entirely necessary. So I'm just going to get rid of the stroke, and it's in the blue already, so I'm going to go to the fill and stroke dialog box and make this a slightly lighter blue, and just scale this in, making sure that the snap is disabled. And let's just put it under the palm trees and lift this up. So I'm just selecting all of these nodes. We can simplify if we want to, but just for the sake of this tutorial, we're not going to go through that. Cool. And we're going to do the same for the top here. And just put this right here. Scale this right up. Can't seem to select the correct node, so we're just selecting the nodes and putting it right up, and we're going to make this a slightly lighter blue too. Cool. Alright, and that gives us a waterfall illustration. So if you enjoyed the tutorial, give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions, be sure to ask. I'll be happy to answer them once it's in my knowledge base to do so. I'm still learning like you. Don't presume to know all things. And also, if you have a better way to do this tutorial, feel free to leave that in the comments. That helps me, that helps other persons as well, and the community grows because of it, so I appreciate that. So until I see you again with another tutorial, get up and design a new door. Later.